How long does it take for you to be able to start seeing results with Google Ads? And the short answer is 7 days. And this is because after the first 7 days, you'll get some clear data indications of whether your campaign with its current targeting and structure will be successful. And in this video, I'm going to be taking you through the exact data that you need to be looking for so that you can tell after the first 7 days whether your Google Ads campaign is destined for success or is going to crash into a huge failure. If we haven't met yet, my name is Aaron Young and I'm your 15,000 hour Google Ads master. And this is where I share with you all of my successful strategies which you can use to help you build a profitable Google Ads campaign. The reason for why I know that these Google Ads strategies will be successful for your business is because I've been testing them since 2010 in large campaigns and small campaigns. So if you want to use Google Ads to grow your own business, why don't you give my channel a quick subscribe right now? Thank you. The reason for why we know whether your Google Ads campaign will be successful or not after only the first 7 days is because the first 7 days is when Google Ads completes its initial learning phase for your new campaign. And the learning phase in Google Ads is where Google is testing your ads versus your competitor ads for the same search terms. And in this first learning phase, Google is trying to work out two core things. One, will your ads actually be clicked on? And two, do people actually enjoy your ads and find them to be a useful experience? Now, on the first point of finding out whether your ads will actually be clicked on, and this is highly important for Google, and the reason for that is because Google only gets paid when your ads are actually clicked on. So if Google is showing your ads, but yet no one is clicking on them, Google is losing money every single time it shows your ads. So for example, if you're willing to pay $5 per click, but you only have a 1% click-through ratio, that means for every 100 times that Google shows your ad, Google is only getting paid $5. Whereas you might be going up against a competitor who is only willing to pay $2, but they have a click-through ratio of 10%. And then this means that for every 100 times that Google shows your competitors' ads, they are getting paid $20. So in that situation, the choice is very easy for Google in that they would rather show your competitors' ads because they know they're going to get $20 for every 100 searches versus showing your ads where they're only going to get $5 for every 100 searches. And this is one of the core things that Google is trying to work out in the learning phase is that will your ads be more profitable for Google as opposed to your competitors' ads? To illustrate this right now, I want to give you an example of two different campaigns throughout their testing period. And one of them was successful right from the start, whereas the other one didn't have a successful learning phase and it needed some extra work. Now, this is the campaign that successfully passed its initial learning phase through Google. And as you can see through here is that these first 7 days was the initial test. And then as it moves into its second week is that the clicks and the impressions were at the same rate. Now, you don't need to worry about this little part is because this client actually paused their ads over the weekend. Now, when we move over to the second campaign, and this is the campaign that did not pass the initial learning phase, you can actually see through here in the first 7 days, this campaign got a lot of clicks and impressions, but then it rapidly dropped away. And in that second week, it had vastly reduced clicks and impressions. Now, the big difference between these two campaigns is actually the metric which is called the click-through ratio, and this works on how many people see your ad versus how many people actually click on your ad. And you can see in this campaign where it was not successful throughout the learning phase, in that after the initial testing phase, Google lowered the rank of its impressions and its clicks. The click-through ratio was only 2.6%. But when we move over to the second campaign, you can actually see that this click-through ratio was actually at 5%. And that is a big difference in Google. And then the second metric, which Google also does pay attention to, is this conversion rate. Now, the reason for why this is so important is because the conversion rate sends a signal to Google that users are actually liking your ads and that after they actually click on your ad, they actually have a positive experience because they're completing an initial conversion. And you can see in the successful campaign, they had a conversion rate of over 10% at 13.75 versus the campaign that wasn't successful that actually had a conversion rate of 0%. So the main difference between these two campaigns was that the campaign that failed the initial testing phase had a lower click-through ratio and a 0 conversion rate versus the campaign which actually passed the initial learning phase, which had a high click-through ratio of above 5% and a very high conversion rate of above 13%. So the key data that you need to look for so that you know whether your Google Ads campaign is going to be successful in the first 7 days is that you want to make sure that you're not seeing a large drop off in the number of impressions and clicks from the second 7 days as what you saw in the first 7 days. So when you go into your Google Ads dashboard, if you see a massive drop off in those clicks and impressions like we're seeing right here, this is a clear indication that your Google Ads campaign has not had a successful initial learning phase. The other big metric that you want to be looking at is that you should be aiming for a click-through ratio of at least 5% or higher in that first 7 days. And then the final thing that you want to be looking for is looking at your conversion rate or the amount of conversions. And even if you only get one conversion in that first 7 days, that is more than enough data to give to Google to confirm with them that your ads are giving the users a positive user experience. So after the first 7 days, you have your first question answered, and that's whether you know that your Google Ads campaign is going to be successful or whether you need to restructure and work on your Google Ads campaign. And then step 2, and this is where it becomes important for us, is that after we've gone through that learning phase, it's all about optimizing our campaign to make sure that the campaign is profitable for us. Because ultimately we are running Google Ads campaigns not to make Google money, but to make money for our own businesses. So there are 2 possible next steps after the initial Google Ads learning phase. The first option is for Google Ads campaigns that did not have a successful initial learning phase, meaning that you've seen a rapid reduction in the number of impressions and clicks that you're seeing, you've got a click-through ratio of under 5%, and you've had no conversions. And if this is you, it is very likely that you'll need a campaign rebuild, because the likely issues are that you have a low keyword quality score and you also have a low ad rank. And at the end of the video, I will actually show you how you can go about to rebuild your campaign. Now, if this is you, I do want you to keep watching this current video because this next point is very important. Because right now we're going to talk about what you need to do if your campaign does have a successful initial learning phase. Now, if you're seeing those markers that your campaign has successfully passed that initial learning phase, and in that second week of your campaign, you're seeing that your clicks and impressions have either stayed the same or they have increased, you've got a high click-through ratio of above 5%, and you're starting to see those conversions roll through, you have passed that first test. But now you're getting to the stage where some skill in Google Ads optimization is required. Because what we need to do now is we need to go through our optimization process so that we can start to see those week on week and month on month increases to our core KPIs. Because even if we have passed that initial test, our campaign still may not be profitable, and we need to add in extra optimizations so that we can get our Google Ads campaign to that point where we're generating conversions at acquisition costs which are profitable for our own business. What I'm showing you right now is the first 3 months of that successful campaign that had a positive result after the initial learning phase. And you can see through here that from July, where we had that click-through ratio of 5.5%, we were able to increase that to 8.93% in August, and then increase that even further to above 10% in September. And also with our cost per conversion, throughout July and August, this stayed the same. There was a slight increase from $36 to $39, but then in that third month, we got that below that $30 mark at $27. And the whole time we were able to see an increase in that conversion rate from initially being at 11.86% up to 14.46%, and then even going up to over 17%. And these are the kind of results that you're wanting to be seeing. You don't only want to see that positive results in the initial learning phase, you actually want to see that month-on-month improvement in your Google Ads account, where you're seeing that reduction in your cost per conversion and you're seeing that increasing rise in your conversion rates. So right now, if you've got your campaign to that point where it's had a successful initial learning phase, the real job starts for you, because what you need to do is you actually need to go through a correct optimization process for your Google Ads campaign so that you can continue to see those monthly improvements in your core KPIs. Now, to see increased performance in those core metrics, you need to have a core strategy for your Google Ads optimization process. And to help you with that, I've actually put together a Google Ads optimization checklist. Now, this is a checklist that will let you know exactly what you need to optimize in your Google Ads account every 72 hours, every week, every month, and every 90 days. Because with Google Ads, it's not about just going in and making random changes. You need to have a strategic approach to your Google Ads optimizations. So if you would like to get your copy of your Google Ads optimization checklist, why don't you follow the link in the description below so that you can get yours today. And to help you with that optimization process, you can actually go through and watch this video right here, which explains the different components which you can actually optimize in your Google Ads campaign. Now, if you find yourself in the situation where your Google Ads campaign has gone through the initial testing phase and you've seen a large drop off in your number of your clicks and your impressions, you need to go through and actually check that you've got your Google Ads campaign set up in the correct way. And to help you with that, I want you to go through and watch this video right here. As always, thank you so much for joining me on this teaching, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video. See you then.